Hey guys, I am going to start making Warframe videos again, and today is a tutorial on the Oberon Warframe, as I had a few comments on Oberon being the next Warframe to make a video of. Firstly, I'd just like to say I'm going to do a slightly different style of the way I'm going to make this video compared to the other Warframe videos in terms of the Warframes that I've done, so it's going to be laid out slightly differently, but anyway, let's just get on with it. Oberon. Okay, so Oberon is basically a paladin, and it's not, obviously it's the game that says that, but really he is just like a paladin in any MMO or game where you would have a paladin apply. He has abilities which are really nice and balanced, and they're focused on being offensive and defensive, and he can play both playstyles depending on how you want to play him. To get Oberon is quite easy, to be honest. I mean, wow, easy. It's farmy, but it's easy in some Warframes. You have a 1% chance to get Oberon's parts for killing Xmas units. Depending on the Xmas unit that's actually killed, he gets a higher... It's less common to get the systems than the other parts. So if you get, for every 1% there's a drop, it's something like, I think, 20% to get the systems and like 40 or something to get the helmet and the chassis or something. Chassis, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I don't even know anymore. Okay, Oberon's first ability is called Smite. Smite does a pretty good amount of damage to one enemy and then all the enemies in the area around it. It does 50% radiation damage, 50% impact damage. I also believe it does some sort of confusion effect. If it doesn't kill an enemy, then it should confuse them as well, which I think does something crazy. But yeah, it's cool. The confusion effect on Oberon, if it doesn't kill the enemy, will make them attack all the enemies around them. So it's basically the same as Nyx's confusion, AoE confusion ability. Enemies that are affected by the ability also do 30% less damage during the duration after they're affected. So if they're confused, they do less damage. The projectiles that are actually sent out from the Smite ability are affected by power duration. So they can keep going around killing other enemies until, well, basically dependent on your power duration. If you have a high power duration, then they'll kill more enemies by going around for longer. The range is also affected by power range, so the duration obviously how long they last for, and the range is obviously how far away the enemies it can kill are. All of Oberon's damaging abilities actually do radiation damage, so every single one of his damaging abilities do radiation damage on top of impact damage, whatever other damage they do. That goes for Hallowed Ground as well. Hallowed Ground throws down a strip of ground, basically, think of it like a toxin, apart from its very high damage for what it does. I think it just does damage to enemies. I don't think it slows them, but I believe there might be a mod for one of the syndicates that slows down enemies that are on top of the Hallowed Ground as well. As the damage is actually pretty... I mean, these are very low-level enemies, but even late game, the damage is pretty good as an AoE. If you have a large swarm of enemies all in one doorway, then obviously they'll do a lot of damage as an AoE, you know, all together, rather than single target focus. When using Hallowed Ground, all allies within the area gain 20% extra health and armor buff. They get an extra armor buff for whenever they're on the Hallowed Ground. So if you're sort of in a high-level raid mission or something, and then, you know, you've got a lot of enemies around and you're pretty much all going to go down, then it's always a good idea to just basically throw one down and stay on it for as long as you can. The armor buff for Hallowed Ground is also based on power strength, so it has scaling basically. So the more power strength you've got, the more the armor buff will actually be. It's 20% by default, but obviously depending on your scaling, it can be higher than that. Oberon's next ability is called Renewal. This will increase the health of all allies in the area, with orbs that basically seek them out and give them a health regen. It's basically health regeneration. The health isn't instant, but obviously depending on power strength, the heal will be bigger, so it will deal more healing than it would do if you had a lower power gen. So the heal is actually affected by power duration. If you use power duration on the healing move, then it will reduce the amount of time it takes to fully heal the opponent, the ally, the amount that it should heal altogether. So that can be quite useful if you want to reduce the healing time when you're in a sticky situation. One thing that I've just noticed because I play Oberon is the energy siphon mod does not work while the healing is actually active. So that's probably worth noting anyone who likes to use energy siphon on their build. Oberon's final ability is called Reckoning. Reckoning is basically a very high damage dealing move that basically kills all enemy in the area around Oberon. It also looks very cool. Obviously, I've got a thing for particle effects, so yeah, it looks fucking awesome. It does huge damage. So if you put a lot of focus in your power strength, then obviously you've got potential to kill a wide mob of enemies at the same time. As with all of Oberon's other moves, it does 50% radiation damage and 50% impact damage. Though to be honest, I'm not really sure why they do impact, but I guess I can figure it out to be honest, just slamming them into the ground or something. As usual, all of Oberon's damage-dealing moves have a chance to inflict confusion. This means all enemies around them, again, will attack other enemies instead of you. If they're, you know, they'll attack the nearest target. Reckoning also blinds your enemies, so if the enemies are not killed by an attack, they'll be blinded for 5 seconds at max rank, which is pretty damn good for crowd control, and if you're in a low situation, you can use it as a good panic button. The blind that's done by Reckoning is affected by your power duration, and it's also affected by your power range. So obviously the higher your duration and range, the longer they'll be blinded for, and the more enemies that will be caught in the blind's radius. Okay, we're going to get onto the build of Oberon. The reason this video is going to be slightly different to all the others, I'm going to talk about what happens when you max out Warframes in different aspects. So from now on, that's going to happen in all the Warframe videos I make. I may remake the 3 that I've already done if people ask me to do that after this video is finished. So I'm building Oberon. Oberon's not a main Warframe for me, so I haven't actually increased or polarized any of his slots. So it's just working with what I've got at the beginning. I put a lot into power strength. I think power strength is good because it increases his heals as well as all of his damage, and he has the potential to be quite a heavy hitting damage dealer when you actually have a lot of damage on him with Reckoning and with his first 2 abilities as well. Continuity is good, I said, but just because it gets the duration of the heal down, so basically it finishes quicker than it would do if you didn't have that. And I also use it just to bring it up a little bit because obviously I brought mine down by increasing my power strength and my efficiency and all the rest. I brought the duration right down. Shields and health is good on basically every Warframe. Vigor's just an amazing mod to have. I think there's now primed Vigor, so if you ever get that, just fucking put it on there. And obviously the stretch is really good because all of his moves get benefit from range. His Hallowed Ground benefits from range, there's more ground that's affected. The healing orbs, everything is affected by range on Oberon. So that's basically how I would build Oberon. Oberon's first ability, Smite. If you max the duration on the ability, it can last up to 30 seconds. Those 30 seconds, it will be damaging all enemies in the area, so it's good and you can have it going constantly if you combine that with power efficiency. If you combine it with power efficiency, each use of the ability also only costs 3.25 energy, and I believe that Energy Siphon continues to regenerate your energy while these orbs are active, which means you can basically have them active the entire time. If you maximize power range, the cast range goes up to 125 meters, which is pretty good generally, to be honest. It means it's like the whole area that he's in will be affected by the ability. And power strength, the maximum damage that you could deal with this ability is 1,495 is the initial damage, and the projectile damage is 500, and gives you 17 projectiles, which means that it has a huge amount of possibility when you use power maximum damage. So I would definitely put bad damage on this build. Instead, on my build, I've put quite a lot of power damage on there. So yeah, power is definitely a valid thing for Oberon. Obviously, that affects all of his healing as well. So all of his moves, every single move is affected by power damage. So I do basically damage. Efficiency is good on all Warframes, but damage and duration are definitely very good because all of his abilities basically last for a long time. Reckoning, the blind duration is affected. With Smite, the orb duration is affected. Hallowed Ground is obviously affected. In Renewal, obviously it reduces the healing time. So basically duration and strength is probably the best sort of stats to go for on Oberon. The only downside of the build that I used before was the bleed slowdown. You could see that, obviously, where I bring down the duration over here. Obviously, the bleed out on his third ability is not going to benefit. It's going to be unbenefited, basically. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, I've got Transient Fortitude, Primed Continuity, Intensity, Vigor, Stretch, Fleeting Expertise, and also Streamline. And because he's a health tank, it may be, if you get the capacity to do so, it's probably worth putting on a Vitality mod as well, because that'll obviously give him a huge health boost. And with all his healing abilities, that would make him a truly unstoppable tank. So guys, thanks for watching. This was the first Warframe video I've made in about 5 months. I really want to get back into it again, but I've been really busy with work. I work about 50 to 70 hours a week at the moment, so obviously that's why I haven't had time to make the videos. I want to get back into making videos, and I want to do them weekly. I'm going to university in September, so I'm going to say this all now. Everyone will be aware that I'm going to university, and I'll have a lot more time to make videos then. At the moment, I'm working every day, and by the time I go out, I will not be doing that, so I'll be able to keep making the weekly videos. I'm also going to start making some basically weapon videos instead of just Warframe videos, so it's going to be stuff on my favourite weapons, my favourite builds. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope this was useful. Anyone who's seen my old Warframe videos, please let me know whether you think this format of video is better than the old one in terms of the amount of information I put in and the types of information I put in. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.